Hi everybody, welcome back to the Energy Stoners Cafe and Talk with TQ. As usual, I try to bring the most interesting people I can find on the planet to you. Tonight, I'm in the Studio Theater in Exile at the HV MOCA in Peekskill, New York. I am interviewing a really interesting person, and I'm very excited about interviewing him. His name is Alex Torres, and he's the galvanizer for the Urbanite Film Festival. And it's happening in Peekskill the first weekend in August at the Studio Theater in Exile that's housed in the HV MOCA in Peekskill on Main Street. Can't miss it. Because Alex is a very, very extraordinary artist, and he's doing this because of his passion for film. And one of us have a passion for film, and we're really looking forward to this particular film festival. So Alex, here we are again.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure, and I really appreciate you coming and talking to me. It's not often we get to interview a filmmaker.
Thank you. I appreciate the kindness.
And so I think people are very, to this day, still very intrigued by that, even though there's no actual film. You know,
Yeah.
I'll ask you that question later. So tell me how the Urbanite Arts and Film Festival was born.
So it originally was born 20 years ago when I was working on a short film, and I was casting Gina Rodriguez from Jane the Virgin. And I remember saying, oh, we don't have enough representation of Latinos. And originally my thought was to have a film festival for Latinos, but then I got busy because I was self-employed, and years went by before the pandemic hit, and I had no more reason to not start a festival. So I finally decided to borrow Nike's line of just do it, and I did. So we started a festival, and I decided to, instead of just make it for Latinos, to be more encompassing for more underrepresented voices, because I felt like Latino was such a small sliver, and this was a much bigger issue. It wasn't just Latinos. It was also the LGBTQIA community. It was also BIPOC. And I felt that I didn't want to, for lack of a better term, discriminate against other people that were underrepresented. So I figured, let me start there, and let me start at a younger age, so that this way we can help uplift those underrepresented voices. And that's really where it started 20 years ago, and finally blossomed into the Urbanite Arts and Film Festival.
So what's the age range of the filmmakers that are actually participating?
Now the age range starts at 13 and ends at 26. So it's trying to encompass a very, two different decades, if you will, the teen years and the mid-20s. So it's trying to bring those two decades together.
Interesting, 26. I always think, when I think of 26 years old, I think about insurance companies and how a young man's insurance first is skyrockets high, but once they turn 26, they lower it so significantly.
That's actually one of the reasons why I went up to that age group.
Oh, really?
Because I realized that when you're looking at underrepresented voices, you're also looking at the fact of ageism.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So you're not legal until you're really 25. Your rates are super high because you're still considered at risk for something. You know, you can't drink until you're 21, but you could serve in the military at 18. You can't get good insurance until you're 26. So really, I wanted to, as broad a stroke as possible, have everyone under that umbrella that's underrepresented.
So you're very inclusive in this.
Yes, and even though we're uplifting underrepresented voices, that could be also neurodiverse community as well.
Oh.
So it's not just skin, it's not just sex, it's also the fact that we're looking at neurodivergency as well. And those are also important underrepresented people as well.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the neurodiverse thing, considering, you know, how we see people that are dealing with autism are often extremely talented in some way.
Yes.
But the main thing is that with film, the reason film is so fascinating to many people is because we all see things differently.
Yes.
And so what is the subject matter that you've noticed? What kind of subject matter?
So it depends on the genre, right?
Okay.
So we have different genres. So female-centric, and it's interesting because you could be female-centric but also be LGBTQIA. And so for the LGBTQIA section, um, there's there's a funny little thing. There was a little short film called "A Gay Guide to Being Gay," right? So that was really cute. It's about coming out of the closet, but not really sure how you fit in the world of being a member of this umbrella, right? Because you could be gay, you could be a lesbian, you could be transsexual, you could be queer identity, and yet there's there's no guide, to that. So there was this cute short film about that. And so each category is a different, there's no, what I liked about these films is that there was no actual, every film was the same, telling the same story. And so it was more like a tapestry, a quilt. So you have all these beautiful different stories that when you put them next to each other, creates this beautiful piece of artwork as a bigger whole.
As a collective.
As a collective, they're different stories. Each story tells something different, and no film was exactly the same or even similar to another. Like the horror films were, even within horror, they were very separate. The drama films were very separate. There was another one called Floorhood, and this Latina filmmaker, she's going on this journey, and you could feel her anxiety throughout the film when there's certain things happen. And when she's happy, you could feel her joy, and when she's scared, you could feel her anxiety creep up. And so each film is very, very different, and it's just very interesting because in this particular film, when I was watching it, I kind of was like, why is she so anxious? And then I realized, oh, this is something that she sees as a woman, and I don't see that because I'm a man. And I saw inside of that, and I was like, I never would have thought that.
So you created some empathy between you
Yeah,
and the film.
she was able to create a world where you see her and another female character interact, and they both become afraid. And the way it was filmed was so intense that you're like, why are they afraid? And then you hear something, and you're like, oh, I get it. I react differently, but I get the fear.
Yeah.
So it was very interesting.
So this filmmaker, she must be very talented to be able to depict that tension.
Yes, she did a beautiful job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes there are things you can't see, but you have to be able to sort of depict it in
Yes.
many ways. There are different ways to do it.
That's one of my favorite lines in all the books that I've read is show it, don't tell it. You want to show what you're doing, what you're feeling. You never want to, because if you have to explain it, then people get lost in the sauce.
Yeah.
So you don't want people to get lost and get bored.
Yeah.
You want to pull people in it and keep their attention captivated.
Show it, don't tell. It's funny, that was next to my high school graduation picture. It really was.
Yeah.
Those words. Go figure.
Yeah.
Maybe because I was studying film back then. But anyway, not me, you. But I'm very excited about this. So this starts on a Friday afternoon or Friday night?
Starts Friday, August 1st. It's from 12 to 7:30 on Friday.
Okay.
Saturday, August 2nd from 12 to 7:30. And then Sunday, we're doing it a little backwards. We're doing the red carpet closing ceremony instead of a red carpet opening ceremony. And we'll do that Sunday from 12 to 5. We have Nick Powers, who is a professor at a local university in New York City, who's going to be teaching 2 hours of poetry.
Oh, nice.
And then whoever wants to perform on the stage at the Studio Theater in Exile at the Hudson Valley MOCA, they will have that opportunity to be part of a poetry slam. We will have Fiona Macris, who is part of the New York Poets Society, who will be on site from 1 to 3 on Sunday, and she will be creating personalized pieces of poems by interviewing each and every guest. She did this last year, and it was so amazing. People requested her again this year. And then we will have a local musician, Lucy Morningstar, who will be performing from 3:30 to 4:15. She has some great folk music, a little bit of reggae style, and all this information can be found on our Instagram page at Urbanites United.
Urbanites United.
Yep.
On Instagram.
On Instagram.
What was unique about the makeup of the filmmakers as a whole?
What was unique was that I believe we received more female filmmakers than we did male filmmakers, and that to me was really, it was a beautiful thing to see. One of the people that worked for me at the beginning, and I don't know, I tend to lean more towards the feminine side of myself than the male side. So I don't know if I'm attracting that energy or if that energy is just coming this way. I don't know. But you know how they say the frequencies just jive?
Yes.
And so I tend to bring in, or the festival tends to attract more female filmmakers.
See, now that surprised me a bit,
Yeah.
you know, quite a bit.
You know, it's funny, I didn't even notice it until someone, our first year, was like, your film, your website and everything, it's, you know, it's so heavy female. And this was from a woman. And I was like, oh, well, that's just the way it's working itself out. I'm not trying. And so I had to try to let young men know that you can also submit, you know. And so because I do want it to be more inclusive. And so, yeah, it tends to lean more female.
So there's no Otto Premingers in this.
No.
You know?
It's
Yeah.
just the way
No Hitchcocks.
No. I try to only in my short films I do Hitchcock, you know, black and white films.
Mm-hmm.
But I do try to make sure that everyone is aware that they're welcome to participate, as long as they're within that category of underrepresented voices, whether it's neurodivergence, LGBTQIA+, BIPOC.
Yeah, you did say something about neurodivergence, which is
Yeah.
something that's very, very significant these days.
Yeah, I think the pandemic really helped push that aspect to the front, because we are creatures that are interconnected, and when we were forced to not be connected, I think that had a huge effect on us as a community globally.
Yes. I'm wondering of the high school students, you know, the people or the teenagers that are in this particular film festival. I know that during the pandemic, a lot of them missed like a significant part of their social they're not as socialized in a certain way. They miss a significant part of that, not being able to be around their friends. I'm wondering, is there anyone that you've noticed within this group of filmmakers that, I don't want to say victim of it, that was affected, that the effect of that shows, or if they were able to actually make a short film or long film about?
There was. He created a rap video called Not Quite Quarantine. And it was at the beginning of the quarantine, right? Mm-hmm. So the Film Festival's foundation began literally the first year, so 2020. And then our first festival was 2021. So 2022. So so you still had that first year and a half, and where it was like we're in quarantine for about a year, and then after that we started slowly coming out of it. And he created a 10-minute rap video called Not Quite Quarantine, and you can find it on YouTube. And it is hysterical.
I imagine so.
It is so great. And you know what's interesting is he sent me an email a few months ago, 3 years later, saying, thank you for this festival. So that was a really nice surprise, because I didn't expect anyone to remember this after a year or two. You know, you move on, you go to college, you forget about this, whether you do film or not. So it was nice 3 years later to get a thank you from him saying thank you for this. So it was really, he's very talented. And he did do quite well with the short film, because it's very original.
I have to get over here and see this thing. I do. You know, I have to say that I'm very impressed with the fact that you did this. It seems that you did it basically yourself.
I have an amazing board. However, the vision that I have, it's hard for me to explain my vision to people until it's done. So the board has been very great in supporting my vision and helping. One of the board members was able to help us get an Emmy Award winning and Golden Globe winning screenwriter to do 2 hours of a screenwriting class on a Zoom, Eric Bork. And he was great. We have Dr. Rebecca Smith, who's a film festival circuit consultant. We have Nick Powers, who teaches poetry for us. He will be here on Sunday, so that's great. So yeah, we get a lot of great instructors through Zoom, and we're hoping to be able to bring these people in person to the Hudson Valley Peekskill area.
It's interesting that you were able to put this whole thing together, and I'm impressed with the fact that you actually know who these people are. When I asked you a question, you talk about that you know that there were 100 submissions or whatever, and that this amount of people, most of them were women, or the 12 that were accepted, whatever it was.
Right. On Instagram, since we have close to 9,000 followers, I wanted the filmmakers to have access to that audience, so I asked them to do a 30 to second 60 little intro of themselves and their film. And of the 12, so there was like about 100 people that are in the festival out of 700. Of that 112 sent me little intro videos, and 9 of them were women. And I thought that was very interesting.
9 of them were women.
Yeah, and only 3 young men who sent us. And they were from all over the world, by the way. Russia. So Daria was from Russia. Tala is from Jordan. Bruno is from Argentina. Peng Cheng is from China. So there's like a whole bunch of them. They're like all these amazing talented. And it's not just short films. It's also spoken word poetry. It's also photography. It's also screenplay writing and music videos. And during the festival, we will be live broadcasting the entire event, but in between the breaks, we're going to be showing the screenplays, like the name of the author, what their log line is, the photographs. And some of these photographs, one photograph in particular, I will mention her because she actually won as Best Photography. She did a black and white series of Russian citizens waiting on food lines.
Wow.
And what I learned from that was just how very much like us, the regular, everyday Russian citizen is, waiting for food. And it reminds me of when I was a kid, you know, waiting on those government cheese lines when we were not as well off and having to wait online for food.
Right.
You know?
Government cheese lines.
Yeah, government cheese lines. I mean, I'm updating myself. But, you know, these are the things that are being taken away from everyday Americans today. And I don't think that the powers that be really, really understand food scarcity. You know, for those, even for the top 10%, food is not an issue.
Yeah.
It's the bottom 50% that it's an issue for.
The food insecurity is real.
It's a huge thing. One of our documentaries was about food scarcity.
Yeah.
And a nonprofit down in the South that works towards helping to address those issues. We have another documentary about called The Rotting Big Apple, right? And how garbage, all this food garbage is around and attracts rats. And it's, so, you know, the documentaries that were done, quite a few of them were dealing with food, whether it was garbage or food scarcity.
So how many people are actually doing dramatic films versus documentaries that you've noticed?
So the documentaries are smaller. Our film categories go into like female-centric. They go into drama, comedy, animation, LGBTQIA, and then social justice and documentaries. And they're probably about less than 10% are documentaries.
Mm-hmm. As far as the women, okay, filmmakers, how does the content differ? What's unusual, what's unique about the content in the women filmmakers' films versus the men that you've noticed, not necessarily for this particular event, but in general?
I find that the women filmmakers are very true to dealing with the issues that they face on a daily basis that we may not really think of as men.
Yeah.
Like I told you, there was one particular filmmaker, Floor Hood, Fiona Torres, and she creates this slice of where she's, as the character, she's going throughout her day, and you see her in the New York City subways and out in the street, and the things that I, as a man, would take for granted, like somebody looking at me.
Yeah.
If a man was to look at me, be like, okay, whatever. But she, as a woman, may feel more intimidated. I can't speak for her, but that was what I got out of it.
Yeah.
There were trans women that were doing films that was about connecting to another person, like dating, which that was good. It just, the viewpoint is just different.
Yeah.
And it's very eye-opening. If you don't know to think like someone else, you're not going to unless someone shows you. They let you into their world.
Yeah.
So it was very insightful. In the past, I've seen other films about specifically certain films. I'm not going to name the country because I don't want to get any of the filmmakers in trouble, just in case. This is streamed and it's seen, but in certain countries where they don't have certain freedoms, it talks about abuse, about being physically harmed, mentally harmed, emotionally harmed, and those films are always very hard to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's something that is real.
Yeah.
That happens.
It happens, and it's real. And I think that we have a very good life in America. We're
We do.
very, very blessed.
We do, no matter what.
No matter what, we're very blessed, and we just really sometimes don't understand why someone from another country may want to leave that country to seek a better life.
Yeah.
So sometimes you see into these lives, and you can't help but feel empathy, a connection, and want to help them. And if this in any way, shape, or form gives them an outlet to shine a light on something that we may not know about, I think that's important.
What generation would the teenagers that, let's say, from 12 years old to 26, what generation is that, or is it two generations?
I think it's two different generations. I remember Generation X, Generation Y, Generation Z, the millennials, and then whatever the next one is. But so I'm not too familiar with the next generation.
I know, they put letters on.
I'm getting confused.
I know what generation I'm from, and there's no letter, it's a word. Baby boomers. But I think that, people look at this differently, but there are some famous filmmakers who are baby boomers, and you probably know who they are.
Ron Howard, yes.
Yeah. And it's the gentleman that died a few years ago. Oh, God.
David Lynch?
David Lynch, but there's someone, David Lynch, right, I didn't think of that. This was a black filmmaker. I can't remember his name. I can see him.
Okay, Spike Lee, is he a baby boomer? No.
I don't think Spike.
I think he's my generation, Generation X.
Perhaps.
Yeah,
Perhaps.
I think.
It's hard to remember.
Yeah.
So many letters.
Yes.
It's hard to remember every single thing, but I think it's very intriguing that you're actually galvanizing this Urbanite Arts and Film Festival, yet you're in a different generation and you've decided to embrace younger generations.
I think I did that on purpose, and I think one of the reasons I did that was more self-reflection.
Yeah.
Because I realized that as a young, queer, effeminate Afro-Latino, a lot of words in there, that I was raised a certain way to be a certain thing, and what I wanted wasn't, one, I didn't talk about it because I knew that it wouldn't be looked on favorably, because even when I did talk about certain things, it wasn't looked at favorably.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I got older, in my 20s, that I learned how to speak for myself.
Right.
But it wasn't until my 30s that I found the courage to not just speak for myself, but actually do for myself. And since my 30s, I've been really just doing those things that I've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I am a late bloomer, but I blossom beautifully.
Yeah, I would say so.
So
Let me ask you this question. I wanted to ask it before. What's your favorite movie of
my
all
God.
time? I know what mine is. What's yours?
Contact.
Oh, right.
Okay, you know why, right?
Yes, I
Because
do.
as a Catholic, right, you think about life and death.
Yeah.
You think about, like, did God create aliens?
Yes.
You know, what is this all about? And you know, and it's funny, as old as I am, I still consider myself an orphan because both my parents died. My mom died from pancreatic cancer when I had just started my own business. So that was like a bittersweet thing.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Thank you. And then my father died 17 years later. And it was funny, a friend asked me, do you consider yourself an orphan? I said, yes. Even at my age, I still need my parents, right? So that movie, Contact, from the minute I saw it, has always been my favorite movie. My second favorite is Dragonfly. Same reason.
Oh.
Right? Because here we are seeking proof of the afterlife. You know, do you
Right.
believe or do you not believe? So I don't know. I believe that there's something after us.
There is. There's something here. They're welcome among us.
Yes,
They
I have, not to get crazy, but I have felt it. I've seen it. You walk into a room and all of a sudden something whizzes by you and you smell perfume or cologne and you're like, are you wearing something? And they're like, no. And I'm like, you know something's around.
Or if you smell something, what's that?
What-
Grandma? Grandma, is that you?
Yeah, exactly. And you know, and like all of a sudden you see something and you're like, what was that? Yeah, it's so Contact is my favorite movie, followed by Dragonfly with Kevin Costner.
Wow, okay. That's a pretty good choices. Mine
Yeah.
go further back before I was born, way before.
What are yours?
Citizen Kane. I can watch that movie 1,000 times.
I did not like Citizen Kane.
You didn't like it?
No,
I love it.
that's the one at the end. He goes Rosebud.
Yeah.
No, I didn't like it.
You didn't like it? I
No.
love that movie. I could sit and just watch it.
Yeah,
And-
I did watch it once, and I was like, wait, I don't get this.
It was required viewing when I went to film school
I gotcha.
in 1970.
Well, I decided to watch it because I wanted to understand, and I think it's definitely. Had I watched it years ago, I would have been like, oh my, you know, there are a bunch of Doris Day movies that I used to watch as kids that I loved, and now when I watch it, I go, what was I thinking? That movie is so racist.
It is. I know. It's true. You know?
Breakfast at Tiffany's. I think that had I watched Citizen Kane years before I was aware
Yeah.
that I would have liked it more, but because I was just like, oh no, I can't. Gone with the Wind.
Oh, that.
Okay, let me tell you, when I first saw it, I went to the theater to watch it at one of its anniversaries, and I was like, oh my God, this was so beautiful, this is so this is so that. But I could see how Carol Burnett made fun of it in her sitcom, you know, with the curtains, you know?
Yes.
Oh my God, and to me, that was a little bit of levity at a very dark time in American history where she made fun of that, and
Yeah.
to me, it was great.
Yeah. Well, on that note, we'll wrap it up. So thank you so much, Alex Torres. What a great
Thank you so much,
conversation.
TQ. Thank you, I
know,
appreciate it.
It was so good. I feel like I could do it twice. It was good. But thank you, everybody, for coming to visit Talk with TQ and the Energy Stoners Cafe. And as always, I'll bring the most interesting people for you that I can find on the planet. Bye-bye.